Kevin Knox with New York Knicks, and you're watching the MadGood Knicks show.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the MadGood Knicks show. I'm Far, that's Steph, that's Pete. We're here to give you all the Knicks news. In case you've been living under a rock, he who shall not be named, a la Harry Potter reference. Boldy. I'll say it one last time. Kristaps Porzingis is no longer a New York Knick. What do we think about it? What does that mean for the Knicks franchise moving forward? And how did we get here? And what's in store for the future, honestly? That's what we're here to discuss, guys. I'll start right off the bat. Let's get a binary answer here, yes or no. Did you like the trade and the ultimate result of what happened? Binary, and then you guys can give your answer. So, do we have a yes, no?
Yes.
Yes, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're milking a cow there, bro?
I am. I was just like running to my answer.
Milking his answer. I mean, the real answer is emotionally no, but logically yes. I mean, yeah, once you let logic, settle in, it seems like a better deal.
Yeah, yeah. And
that's
like,
the short answer.
Steph and I were on live, Instagram Live, talking about this.
Yeah.
And we were very emotional. And like my answer right away, because we also didn't know about the 2 first-round picks. We just said 2 picks.
Yeah,
I figured
right.
they'd be second round. I was like, what the hell are the New York Knicks doing?
Yeah.
Steph, your take?
For me, it's kind of a no-brainer. I look at it from 2 perspectives. I can look at it from an emotional perspective and a logical one. And from an emotional one, as a fan, of course, it does suck. We, under the radar, picked up KP, someone who's homegrown and organic all-star that we wanted to build around. It felt amazing that we were able to grab a player like that from the draft. And he decided to leave. It sucks, but it's the truth, and you have to move on. You have to realize that he doesn't want to be here anymore. Move on. From a logical standpoint, I think we got a lot in return. I think we unloaded the right contracts. I think we set ourselves up for the future very well. All in all, I think that if it was inevitable and KP was going to leave, what we got back in return was the best possible that we could have gotten.
Is it though?
I think so.
Is it?
Because listen, we have 2 max contracts, which is way better than 1. 1 is risky because that means 1 all-star has to put all his eggs in 1 basket and come to the Knicks. The fact that we have 2 gives an option for them to pair up and realize that, hey, we can make a change in this franchise. Do you want to join up and join this team and kill it? Second, we have 2 first-round picks in the next 2 to 4 years. We kept all our young players, our main core, which is what the promise of the organization was from the start of the season. And we unloaded all those contracts, so I think we got a lot in return. And we got DeAndre Jordan, Wes Matthews, and DSJ.
Not bad. KP did say that he would not sign, he would sign only qualifying offer if he was traded straight up for Anthony Davis and the Pelicans. So, had we gotten that back, would that have been better?
I don't think so. I
We got AD for another couple years, and then we can sign another max guy next year.
I get it, but I just think that this is a better setup for our future. It's automatic. It's not like we've always been waiting, that's the whole point with us as fans. We're very impatient. We want very low retention.
Well, now we're waiting for 2 max free agents to sign with the Knicks, and that's never happened.
But that's only a few months away. If we kept AD, that would have been a couple of years away, and the future is just kind of like, you don't know where it's going to go.
Well, okay. Here's where I step in, I guess.
You can walk in if you want.
As far as you saying this is the best we could have gotten from him, I feel like that's debatable because if you switched him for a superstar right now like Anthony Davis, maybe that would have been a better deal. But I think in a weird way.
But Anthony Davis has proven not to work with everybody, a la DeMarcus Cousins.
Well, I was going to say, in a weird way, I think we're undervaluing the fact that for the first time we have these 2 max spaces open, because I think that really is sort of like a increase in the magnetism of those roles in New York City. It opens up a lot of possibilities. It opens up a lot of these players teaming up with other players. I mean, I know that's kind of like what's done in the NBA right now, but Durant could call a friend and say, you want to go take over New York, whatever. When you have Anthony Davis in that spot, you're sort of just saying, you're limiting the options, I think. And Anthony Davis, for as great as he is, wouldn't we rather have Kyrie and Durant, proven champions, proven clutch players. I mean, Anthony Davis is a phenom, but for me, there's just something missing in him that
what I rather have,
potentially the killer instinct is missing in him that doesn't excite me as much to have him on the Knicks.
Would I rather have Anthony Davis and Kevin Durant? Yeah, over any duo free agents in this upcoming.
Anthony Davis.
Why not?
Anthony Davis seems to have
so
made
many
up his
reasons.
mind.
AD's a center and KD's a 4. You throw Zion at the 3 and make Knox a shooting guard. Fuck out of here. It doesn't matter who our point guard
Us
is.
as Knicks fans, we're happy about a unicorn. KD is as unicorn as it gets. Come on.
Absolutely.
I think
I'm talking about, and then you got Anthony Davis right next to him.
Anthony Davis next to who?
Kevin Durant.
Okay. Well, if two of them are gonna come, okay. But I'm saying like the trade overall with the 2 first-round picks, unloading all the contracts. Getting potentially a top 3 pick and the 2 first-round picks, I'd rather have that than just a 1-for-1 and getting AD on the team, because then it's going to be centered around AD and how can we build around him with all these options available at our fingertips. It's like, oh, like we don't know, like we're having so much firepower going to come at the same time. We don't know who it's going to be around, which is I think the more exciting factor than just having, all right, we're going to build around AD. What if AD gets injured? Oh crap. What if we get Zion, KD, and Kyrie? It's like, oh, one of them gets injured. Oh, we still have like amazing stardom, at our fingertips. So I mean,
but I don't get that, because if you're to trade KP for AD, and the argument that we're making right now is, could there have been better options than trading this way?
Exactly.
If we had gone AD for KP straight up, we have Anthony Davis for a whole nother year, potentially interested in re-upping his contract.
Yes.
You got enough money for another max player next year, even with AD on the roster. Theoretically, he would take the place of KP. And then you got a guy like Zion or RJ Barrett or whomever coming in.
Yeah.
That package already guarantees we'll have at least one superstar. This package right now guarantees that we have a lot of money, and based on history and the Knicks, that has meant very little.
Right.
Well, I mean, let me argue that there was a time where we did have one superstar, and that didn't pan out. In today's NBA, I think to succeed at any level, playoffs or trying to vie for a championship, you definitely need 2 superstars. But I also want to make the point, I think if we're talking about specifically Anthony Davis, I think that ship sailed a long time ago. I think there's just so much buzz about him going to LA that I personally don't think that New York was going to be a viable option for him. I wouldn't have trusted him necessarily to be anything but a rental, but who knows? And I think, at this point, if you're gonna have all these trade assets and unload these contracts and create this cap space, I'd rather just see what this new management can do. I'd rather give them a clean slate, get rid of all the bad juju, get rid of all the sort of red flags that KP has put up over the years, whether it's by missing the exit interview or that most recent that most recent misunderstanding he had with Fizz, where Fizz said he wasn't working out, and then KP went to social media to show himself sprinting. And no one really talked about that in New York media, but that always was kind of a red flag to me. I'm like, why aren't these 2 people on the same page? You never really heard much from KP lately. He wasn't doing any interviews or something, and I feel like, did we all just not notice that was a little bit weird, that our star player wasn't really part of the picture anymore? So I think in terms of getting rid of him, management did the right job, because ultimately he was someone that was coming off of injury. And I know we mentioned on the show multiple times, we brought up that I don't necessarily trust his body. I think being a 7'3", whatever he is, ectomorph, with a thin frame and already sustaining these pretty serious injuries at a young age, we were putting a lot of pressure on him to not only recover from these injuries, but be as good as he was, if not better, and then sustain that for a number of years while we build around him. And if you're dealing with that already, plus the person doesn't want to be there, I think management was given no choice. So I really don't understand any fans that blame management at this point or say like they shouldn't have done this. I think the real thing, you could debate whether or not the trades we made were good. But to me, I mean, getting these players, getting to keep our picks.
Let's talk about the players in a few. I want to also just, before we get to that, KP's actions. Let's talk a little bit about that. So right after the trade went down, KP did 2 things that I think are unforgivable. One, posting a GIF of he and Luka dapping it up the night before. The first thing he did right after the trade news that came out. And, like, look, maybe you're taking jabs at someone who pissed you off inside the Knicks front office, but, bro, I think we all handled this. The front office handled this the most professional way the Knicks could have handled it. And it's such a big FU to the fans, man. Like that, the amount of disrespect. You're public enemy number one, and everyone's praying for your other ACL right now on their dinner plate. And I don't want to wish that kind of harm on any human. Never, never. Don't mistake that. But that's the type of animosity that you cause by those kinds of actions. Number two thing that he did was then he posted afterwards the thank you to the fans BS. Homie, we're New Yorkers.
PR manager.
we see through the bullshit, KP. We're New Yorkers. Like we've been through some things. Like just mentally speaking, that is one way to rub a New Yorker the wrong way. The unauthenticity behind a message like that. Biggest FU in the face. As far as I'm concerned, top 3 last number 6s on the Knicks. Tyson Chandler, Travis Ware, and Landry Fields, not in that order.
No.
At me.
I think, that's funny, I like that. For me, KP just cut his nose to spite his face. In other words, he's an emotional guy. He comes from that part of the world. He's very passionate. And instead of addressing the fans directly and having his emotion channeled there, some serious nonsense must have happened behind closed doors with the organization for him to kind of totally disregard the fans, go straight to be spiteful towards the organization. That's the only thing maybe in his defense. I'm playing devil's advocate here, but I fully agree he should have addressed the fans first. Being an emotional, passionate guy, he should have went directly to the people that made him.
And then on top of that, I didn't even speak about this part, was the fact that he tweeted out, like, what was it? Wait to see what's going to happen or something.
Yeah, the truth will come out.
The truth will come out. That's the infamous. The truth will. That type of subliminal message, grow up and man up. Come on.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Say it.
And honestly, that.
Say what it is.
I gotta be honest, like guilty pleasure, that kind of thing, that suspense is killing me. I'd love to hear what KP has to say, because it is concerning from the point of view that, okay, it sounded like Scott Perry was saying that KP wasn't really buying into the long-term plan that the Knicks had. And we were all under the impression that we had sort of changed, we're at a new chapter with the Knicks. We got new management, new coach. Dolan is sort of backing off and letting these things happen. We've got a new core, we got some picks. And so, from the perspective of fans, it feels like the organization was anew. But KP is sort of, through his actions, making me doubt that. Is there something that we don't know? Is there some leftover Knicks-like issues that are plaguing the team to this day? I mean, are we all sort of living in la-la land thinking that we've moved on from past Knicks mistakes? I think with this trade and the upcoming free agent market, that's going to be the first huge test of this new management. And I give them the benefit of the doubt, because so far the things that they said and the things that they've done have impressed me. I think cutting this relationship so cleanly with KP and doing it so quickly and unloading these contracts and not losing picks to do it was, I think, I think you got to give it credit for that.
I don't think anyone's discrediting.
But that's what worries me. That's what worries me is there anything to what KP's saying?
Yeah.
Is there any holdover in these issues with the Knicks, or is he really being a prima donna? And I kind of wish that he wouldn't be so subliminal about it and kind of help us out.
But even if there is something subliminal about it, like Far said, he should have went straight up about it. He should have been direct about it.
I agree. I'm not defending that. I'm thinking about if there's any truth to what he's saying, any truth at all, then that should give us a little bit of pause about management right now.
If it quacks like a duck, if it barks like a duck, if it smells like a duck,
yeah, I was like a duck.
It's Kristaps Porzingis.
It's a unicorn.
Because I'm not even calling him that anymore, because we all know why.
He is one of a kind.
I want to say this much though, because he's been so emotional about everything, and he's saying the truth will come out, blah blah. I think the butthurt truth at the end of the day is you tore your ACL. We didn't want to re-up a Supermax deal for you. We said go out and prove yourself. However, obviously you got to think about the franchise, so don't rush into it, KP. Take your time and do it next year. And he said, you know what? I don't want to do that. I'm just going to go play in Dallas. Because he signed a qualifying offer for Dallas. He wasn't willing to do that for the Pelicans.
Boy, Luka's over there.
I think, and yeah, like Luka's a very attractive to play with. Don't get me wrong. However, you were drafted a New York Knicks. The fans were behind you. As far as we know, the organization was behind you as much as they possibly and logically from a business end could have been.
I guarantee you it's because of the long-term vision of the organization having given Fizdale a longer contract. I think the same reason why Enes Kanter is frustrated for being on the bench or whatever friction there is between him and Fizdale, I think is probably a very similar reason as to why KP wanted to leave. I'm sure KP was promised something very different from the first day he entered into that locker room than he was promised right before the season. Not to say that he shouldn't be the one who's following because, you know, the head coach is the leader on the court when you think about it. Scott Perry, Steve Mills, the president and GM, they're the guys who run the show. Put your trust in them. Don't think that you're smarter than everyone. If your brother's filling things up in your ear, okay, I get it. He wants the best for you. But I think it's best to be transparent with your fans, to tell them what the deal is, and to kind of trust the process, if you will.
Two things I wanted to really quickly say. One, I think the whole Enes Kanter thing might be a conspiracy theory on the part of management to get him to be as distracting as possible to the media, so that
the timing's unique.
That's crazy, though. No,
so they can do these pretty slick backdoor deals. But two, and I want to throw this back to you guys. If you were KP, and let's say you came here from overseas, and you've already been playing in the Knicks organization for a few years, you've already played for a few coaches, you've seen the dysfunction, you've seen the president leave, you've seen management change, and you see the team's record not really improving year to year, being a pretty lowly, non-playoff team. And now, a few years in, after you've already sustained your first major injury, they're trying to sell you on another sort of long-term vision. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, I'm about to commit to another few years with this team, and at the end of it all, I may have committed up to 8 years with this team and achieved nothing and blew a decade of my prime. Do we have any empathy for KP, assuming that he left on better terms and that he did it the right way and he spoke to the fans? Is there any empathy for him there?
There's zero empathy right now, only because of how he acted right afterwards. That's the bottom line. I think that's how most Knicks fans are going to feel. If he had tweeted out or put out whatever, like, you know, New York has such a special place in my heart. This was such a hard decision. You know, I wanted to be a Knick for life. Unfortunately, you know, family, business, money, all that was involved. You guys will find out the truth when it comes. Loving New York. Yeah.
So half-assed, even when he finally did it.
Hire me as your PR guy, KP.
Yeah, for half the price.
Never mind. I ain't gonna work for you, bum ass. Here's my other theory on Kristaps Porzingis while we're in the mode of trashing him. I think he also saw the fact that generational talent was probably going to come to the Knicks out of this draft. On top of that, Kevin Knox going into his second year, showing signs of he has the ability to carry an offense as well. And then on top of that, with KP here, you had enough money to sign another max contract, presumably another guy who can score the ball. That, in a year where KP has to prove himself in a max deal environment, I don't think he could handle it. And KP, I think you straight up bitched out on New York. And that's one of the reasons why he left.
And for some reason, to add on to that far, even if we did keep KP and we had a vacant spot for another max contract, I don't think that other All-Stars feel that they're that enticed to come to play with KP. I honestly don't feel that way. I think if I'm looking from KP's perspective, he did the right move. He went to a better position or a better scenario than if he stayed. I feel like with the organization, a lot of factors at play that isn't really solidified or stable, I don't really think that that's attractive even for an All-Star to come and play with KP, especially with him being prone to injury.
Well, one open space definitely is not as attractive as two open spaces in this like hyper-friendly NBA where guys like to play together, guys like to collude to be together on the same team. But at this point, as a Knicks fan, like, I'm cool with it if it's coming in our direction. So not having KP there opens up those possibilities. I think wonders could happen if you have two max spots as opposed to one where you kind of have to fit another piece. But the other thing I think we did is, and I have to double check my notes here, is, shoot, can we pause that real quick?
No, we can't, because I got a point to make here.
Thank you for saving me. Save at the bill.
The fact that we are banking on free agents coming to the Knicks, never in NBA history has it happened where a franchise gives up their most valuable asset to unload money, and they have money to sign new players next year, and that's what they're banking on. That hasn't happened in the NBA. That's damn sure never happened with the Knicks. 2 players that ever come to losing teams and sign max contracts have been Amari Stoudemire via the Knicks and Baron Davis. I think that was the Warriors. That's the only time that's ever happened. So there has to be something seriously special that the New York Knicks management know that we don't. And until then, we're going to speculate and call KP bad names.
I'm down for that. But we also have to realize that this is a different era. There's much higher turnover now than there was back in the day, even up to 10 years ago. We've never heard of so many all-stars talking all this smack when they're about to get into free agency about not re-signing with their current team. It was all about loyalty in the 90s and early 2000s. Now it's just like, you know, what's a better position? Where can I get money? Even Kyrie Irving said it. What's best for me? At this point, I'm not doing anything for anyone else. I'm doing it for myself. And I think it's a different era. And hopefully Knicks can be the pioneers of this and kind of saying, listen, we put all our eggs in one basket. We risked it all, and we got high reward in return.
Fair point. High risk, high reward.
I think there's definitely a level of risk. I mean, as far as the cons of this trade, I'd put the fact that the picks are in the far future. Although we have a number of picks, I believe it's 7 first-round picks over the next 5 years. I could be wrong.
Fact check it.
But we'll fact check that. The fact that these 2 picks are in the future is a con. The fact that we traded for air, it all depends on who we sign in the cap.
That's the hard part. It's like in June is when we can really decide whether we want.
Very true. Very true. So this is, time will tell with this trade. But 2 things, 2 points that brings up. One is if we really believe in our new management and the fact that they are on the same page and that the Knicks have finally got their act together from an organizational perspective, that Dolan's out of the picture, then let's give these guys a little bit of leeway to work their magic. This is definitely a bold move on their part, but I think their hand was forced a little bit, and I really respect their decisiveness in it. But the other thing that we also have to think about is if we're waiting for the free agent market, us as fans, we were waiting to see if KP was going to be as good as he was. And as I said before, it would take a number of years to find that out. Like, we need him to be a franchise player to be healthy for a number of years. And so we wouldn't know if that played out until a number of years went by. And maybe, just maybe, that wasn't that attractive to other free agents. Maybe they wanted to see if
like an established KP.
Established KP.
Let's not forget, here's the other thing. KP didn't even play 1 season.
But now, exactly.
What the
Knicks
Knicks
hasn't been durable. So and
playoffs, finals.
So now that completely changes that narrative. We don't have to wait for anything anymore.
What the Knicks are essentially gambling here, if they were to place a bet right now, is that they will get 2 free agents that will come in and be better than Kristaps Porzingis. 2. So not just 1. I'm not talking about like, hey, we signed KD and Jimmy Butler. Like I will be a little bit upset if that happens. I'll be really happy about the KD thing, but at the end of the day, KP and KD together is a lot better than almost anything
this year is the great timing for this. If we're going to have 2 open spots, this is the year, because
we said that in 2010 too with LeBron, and I just didn't work.
Yeah, but I mean,
I think this is different because there's vacant spots, Far. It's like, when was the last time we had an open team?
2 vacant spots, no.
2 vacant spots. That's what I think is very enticing, just being able to pair up with somebody and saying, like, let's take this franchise. We can be the pioneers of this franchise.
I just think it's great that we didn't have to give anything up. We got rid of our contracts. We got
that
picks.
We wanted to.
We didn't have to get rid of picks.
I mean, giving
up
Kristaps Porzingis?
He wanted to, though. If he wanted to stay, then no. But it's like, what are you going to do? It's inevitable.
It's tough shit, but like...
You find a way to figure it out. Like, Kobe wanted to be traded from the Lakers at one point.
We're all prisoners of the moment. Like, if KP comes out and then keeps being injured year after year, which I don't wish upon him, but if that's how it plays out, then suddenly our management look like geniuses for pulling off this move. But if he doesn't and he becomes a star and then free agents suddenly get the cold shoulder about New York City, then it's not that smart of a move. But, you know, if I was put in their position... I can't blame them for this move. Like, that's why I started out this whole thing with, you asked us, are we happy? Yes, it's a hard answer to say. If it has to be binary, it's yes. Obviously, it's more complicated than that. But in a weird way, it got me more excited for the team. Like, I was expecting to have to wait another 2 years to see Knox get better, to see KP come back. Now it's like the possibilities are endless, and if we're gonna do such a bold thing, why not do it when we're at the rock bottom and it's all uphill from here, as opposed to like keep trying these 2-3 year experiments.
I agree.
Hold your tongue when you say that, because with the Knicks, you never know where rock bottom.
You never
play
know.
is.
That's the caveat for every one of these segments. Like, we should start with a disclaimer. Disclaimer: all things in context of Knicks history.
Can and will go wrong. Shout out Nolito real quick. I also want to shout out my checks.
Like,
His checks over stripe. That's what I like. Cause KP, you a little bitch.
KP apparently chose nowhere.
Guys, obviously very polarizing topic. Let us know what you think in the comments. This was kind of our immediate reaction video. A lot of stuff still to figure out here. Stay tuned to the MadGood Knicks show forever.